It almost got to the end of the song before it just switched to me. Good afternoon. I am here in sunny and getting warmer, Front Range, northern Colorado. I look west and I see the mountains, and I look east and it is flat as a pancake because that's where I am. And I always keep track of this when I start a live stream. I wonder how long the lag is between me talking and then it actually getting out into the internet and into your hands. And there's a 13-second time lag. So if you're into time travel, this happened 13 seconds ago. Not kidding. So let's get into it today. I'm talking about the idea of 5 systems that you think you need. 5 systems that I think you need. And you've not heard these before. You've not heard them from other people before. You may have heard bits and pieces here and there, but you've not seen it quite like this. And this might actually be something that will help you decide whether or not you start your own YouTube channel, whether you're 30 years old, 50 years old, 80 years old, doesn't matter. And maybe the reason, and I'm going to heavily lean on some notes, and I'm going to throw some notes up on the screen, but I'm going to heavily lean on some notes right now. So that maybe your channel hasn't started yet is because you're trying to build it without the internal systems that make it work. So we're going to look at 5 systems, and we're going to see how they work. And like I said, I'm going heavily on the notes, and I don't want to wear my glasses, and the printing is small, so I guess I have issues. So the problem that I'm going to try and work with today is this, is that older creators like myself, we stall before we even start because we keep trying to solve the wrong problems ourselves. We're problems of I don't have the gear, I don't have the tactics, I haven't gone through the tutorials yet, I haven't gone through that program I'd paid $1,000 for, or am paying for still, whatever. And the real problem, the real obstacle is not any of that stuff. It's not the courses. It's not, you haven't watched enough YouTube channels about starting YouTube channels like mine. But that's not the problem. So the promise is that by the end of this live stream, you'll know the 5 internal systems, the 5 things that are inside you that every 50-plus creator, retired, semi-retired, 50 or older, maybe 40 or older, what you actually need to start your own YouTube channel. And it's not the technical stuff. It's not the gear stuff. And I'm going to talk about which one to fix first. So if you haven't hit record yet on your own YouTube channel or haven't started yet, it's not the camera. It's not about the camera. It's not about your fear of talking to the camera. It's not about any of that. It's not about the lighting. It's not about your age. There's a lot of older people on YouTube nowadays doing a great job, by the way. So we're going to get into 5 things, and I'm going to switch to a screen model that shows this. Now this, I got to go back to my notes again. This, what I call the unwasted channel. And the unwasted channel is, first of all, the channel that you haven't started yet. It's there, it's in you, but you haven't done it yet. But this is an outgrowth specific to YouTube and starting a YouTube channel that comes from this, which you can't really see, but it is the Venn diagram to end all Venn diagrams, and it's the 5 systems for life, which is called the unwasted life, the life you've chosen not to waste. So I'm going to talk about the YouTube channel you've chosen not to waste. So the blue blob in the middle of the screen that you're looking at right there, by the way, is just something to keep you from looking too far forward. And after 6 months, I put my Apple Watch back on, and now it's vibrating, and I'm inadvertently just looking at it, and I apologize for that. So what we're looking at 5 systems, and as it says right there, it's adapted from the unwasted life, and by myself. But we're looking at the system, and this is where I'll finish the sentence, and this is where you deal with your, and this is where you realize, okay? So that's kind of where we're going. So let's just start into it. The first of all, it's your belief system. Now, I'm a Jesus follower. I'm a Christian. I lean very heavily into Jesus, not a denomination, not a denominational doctrine, nothing like that. Anyway, but my belief system, and it's within me, and because that's my belief system, it's going to come out. It just is, because whatever you truly believe in, it's going to come out into your life. But when you relate this idea of your belief system to your YouTube channel, this is where you decide if this being your YouTube channel, this is where you decide if your YouTube channel is worth doing and why it matters beyond the views. If you're doing it just to gain views, just to gain subs, just to gain maybe monetization and some extra income, none of that is wrong. But if that is the only reason, then your belief system is entirely monetary and a little egotistical. I got to have the likes. I've got to have the views. No, if you're going to do it just for that, no. My byline for this channel is start now, share what you know, help others. Nowhere in my byline does it say get the subs, get monetized, make money. Now, if I do that, that's great. But if I help people, that's even better. Your belief system, this is where you decide if this is worth doing and why it matters the most beyond the views. Now, this is also, with regard to your belief system, this is where you deal with your doubt that any of this is meant for someone like you. I would love to say that everybody, semi-retired, retired, needs to start a YouTube channel, needs to get out there, needs to share what they know, needs to help others. They need to start now, and I'm here to help you do all of that. But this is where you have to deal with your doubt within your own belief system. I had to say, am I doing this for the right reasons? And what if I fail? What if I never get beyond 7 subs? What if I never do it? What if my watch time, people are just watching just a little bit? This is where you have to deal with your doubts. Within your belief system, whatever your belief system is, you have to deal with the doubts, not just your belief system, with your doubts of your belief system positively affecting any YouTube channel that you start. This is where you deal with your doubts. And finally, belief system, this is where you realize that purpose is a more powerful motivator than popularity. Because remember, YouTube, in my opinion, and it's a strong opinion, YouTube is not a social media platform. It's an education, entertainment, learning platform. It is not an entertainment, a social media. It's not a social media platform. Now, are there shorts on here? Yes, I really don't do shorts. The only shorts that I will have on this channel would be shorts that are cut from long form video from the videos that are on here. But just making shorts for the sake of making shorts, it's not going to happen on my channel. It's just something that I don't desire to do, and I'll find an automated way to do it as effectively as possible, so I'll spend as little time on it as possible. But this is where you realize that the purpose of your channel is a more powerful motivator than being popular with your channel. Now, would I like my videos to reach millions of people? Yes. Not because it makes me popular, but because it helps. I know I've struck a nerve and I'm helping other people. So your belief system, what you believe in, this is where you are. This is where you deal with the doubts. This is where you realize that your purpose of the channel, and you have to, all within the idea of your belief system. That's the first belief system. Second belief system, your permission system. Permission, yes. So this is where you, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to slide that back down a little. Best laid plans, right? This is where you, in your permission system, this is where you stop waiting for someone to tell you it's okay to start. And just start. You don't need me to tell you to start. I am telling you to start. I'm telling you to start tomorrow. Start this afternoon if you want to. That'd be great. But the permission system this is where you stop waiting for someone else to tell you to start. You've kind of answered that with your belief system. And this is where you deal with your fear that you're too old, you're too late, you're too ordinary to matter on camera. Some people are going to relate to you and how you deliver. Some people are going to relate to that, and that's a good thing. But this is where you deal with your fear, because you have to give yourself permission to do this. It is a mindset, a very deep mindset, that you have to get rid of your fear of, I'm too old, I don't look good, the camera makes me add 10 pounds to my, really? Seriously? You know, if it adds 10 pounds to your face, then we need to talk about the type of lens that's on your camera. But that's another story. But your permission system, this is where you deal with your fear that you're too old or too late or too ordinary to matter on camera. Let me tell you right now, you matter. You have something to say. And if you believe you have something to say, you have an obligation to tell other people about it. And you can do that on a YouTube channel. And also, this is where you realize that the only person who has ever have to give you permission, I can't even read it right. The only person who was ever going to give you permission was you. You give yourself permission, not your spouse, not your family, not your kids, not your boss, not your ex-boss, not your ex-girlfriend, not your ex-wife, your ex-husband, not your ex-anything for that matter. You give yourself permission. You say, yes, I'm going to do this. You don't need anybody else's permission. This is where you realize that the word go comes from your mouth, nobody else's. Third system. This is what some people worry about. Your content system. I'm going to have to, because it slid off the screen and I have a terrible time remembering stuff. Your content system. Now, this is where you get clear on who you're going to talk to and what you're going to say. Who you're going to talk to first. In other words, who's the person that's going to tune into your channel and listen to you? Who's that going to be? Is it going to be people who are 35 years old and learning how to knit for the first time? I don't know, maybe. But you need to know who it is if you're going to teach knitting to 35-year-olds. So this is where you get clear on who you're talking to and what you're going to say to those people, because we're talking about your content system. This is what you're focusing on. Your YouTube channel needs to focus on one primary thing, not 5 primary things. You're not going to teach knitting and auto mechanics and how to rebuild a carburetor and lawn mowing technique. It's not going to be in the same channel. Just pick one or the other. When I'm done, I'm going to go out and mow the lawn for the first time, and man, is it long. I waited about 2 weeks too long. That's another issue, but that's me. So your content, this is where you get clear on who you're talking to, the person you're going to talk to, and what you're going to say. That's content. And this is where you deal with your confusion about what your channel is actually going to be about. I've already kind of mentioned that. It can't be about knitting and car maintenance. It can't be that. People won't know what to turn into. I'm going to turn into your channel and see if you're going to talk about knitting or car maintenance, and which means they're not going to turn into you at all, because it kind of tells you that you're not serious about either. If you want to have 2 channels, great, but this is where you deal with the confusion of what your channel is about. Be very clear about what's going on. For instance, this channel is start now, share what you know, help others. And then finally, this is where you realize, that a clear message to one person is more powerful than a vague message to everyone. Now, that's worth writing down. This is where you realize that a clear message to one person is more powerful than a vague message to everyone. Let's move on. The fourth system is your knowledge system, because you have brains. And you have a knowledge system within you. So this is where you figure out what you already know. I've got to figure out what I already know. Yeah. If you're really good at bookkeeping, even better, if you're really good at using Excel as a software, that might be something that you know really well, and you can teach it to somebody else. So this is where you figure out what you already know that someone else desperately needs to hear. My idea here is that I feel that I know a lot in this particular area, and I feel that other people desperately need to hear what I have to say, or I wouldn't be doing it. So, but this is where you deal with the tendency to underestimate everything you've already lived and learned. Because there's a lot of people that are saying, I've done this my whole life, and I really liked what I did, but no one's going to listen to me on YouTube. And you doubt yourself. You have the tendency to underestimate everything you know. You have something that you know that other people would love to tune in and find out about. No matter what it is, people want to know. Even if it's my pet channel that I'll never start because I can't do it, but it's knitting mittens for kittens. So the tendency to underestimate everything you've already lived and learned. But there is this is also your knowledge system, your brain inside you. Excuse me. This is where you realize that your experience isn't ordinary. It's exactly what someone out there is searching for. And you might come back and argue with me and say, you know what? Yeah, it's ordered. Everybody knows how to change a tire. Maybe they do. Maybe they don't know how to do it your way. Maybe there's some little technique that you know that you could teach them. Especially people changing a tire for the very first time don't realize that you loosen the lug nuts before you lift the wheel off the ground. They don't know that. But now they do because I just said it. But there's so much that you know that you've learned over several decades. And other people want to know about it. And this is where you realize that your experience isn't ordinary because it's coming through the filter of you. You say, well, it's just car mechanics, or it's just bakery, or it's just gardening. But it's coming through the filter of you, your learned experience, your techniques, your stories of where you learned it from and how you learned it from. And maybe you've got a story about, I learned how to change a tire because it happened at 1 o'clock in the morning in the rain and nobody would stop and help me and I had to figure it out. It's kind of an interesting, and without getting run over, and it's kind of an interesting story. So this is your knowledge system. And without repeating it, I'm just going to go on, and here's the last one. This is your workflow system. So this is where you build a simple, repeatable, might I say, weekly routine that keeps you showing up consistently. You keep showing up consistently. And this is a workflow system. This basically has to do with time. And this is the last circle in that Venn diagram. As you go around clockwise, is time. You build the simplest, repeatable routine that keeps you showing up consistently. Because there's no reason to start a YouTube channel and post a video, and then 3 weeks later you think you're going to do another video, and a month later you think you're going to do another video, and then you decide to do a week where there's 5 videos, and then you take a month off. No. YouTube rewards consistency. They really do. They want you to show up and just keep showing up. So you have to decide right from square one, am I going to show up? And this is where you deal with the excuses for why today isn't the right day to record. You might wake up, Tuesday. Tuesday I have to record and I have to do a live stream. And I really don't want to record. Maybe you do. But maybe you do. So this is where you deal with the excuses for why today isn't the right day to record. You get up and you record that day because you've made it part of your routine. It's part of your schedule. It's like brushing your teeth. You're going to do it. I hope you're going to do it, but you're going to do it. But you don't make excuses for not taking a bath. You're going to take a bath, or brushing your teeth, or eating for that matter. We have routines for everything, and this is just a workflow. It's when you get up and you may not feel like doing it, but you're going to do it because you've made a commitment. Back up in your belief system that this is why you're going to do it. You're going to show up for the people who want to see your videos. And this is where you realize that consistency beats perfection every single time. One of the biggest excuses for people not starting a YouTube channel is that, well, it's not going to be good enough. Well, YouTube is kind of rewarding authenticity over flash, which I think is really, really cool, because I have a hard time doing flash. This is about as flashy as you're going to get, to be honest with you, is a big blue blob on the big blue rectangle covering up the rest of the stuff, But I'm going to slide this last little thing up there. that might be hard to read, so I'll read it to you. It says, each system builds on the one before it. Belief leads to permission. Permission leads to content. Content activates knowledge. Knowledge demands a workflow. And so those are the 5 systems that I know you've never heard before. But you've got permission now to take those systems and put them to work and make the decision to actually start a YouTube channel. And that would be absolutely great. Now, if you're watching this live, thank you for joining. If you're not watching this live on repeat, put down in the comments which system is holding you up, or systems are holding you up. Let's just hope it's just one. I hope you got to a certain point and you say, well, I'm not quite sure which one it is. And so let's start a conversation in the chat about, in the comments chat about whatever. And I'm going to leave that with you. That's it for this week. I'm here every Tuesday, 2 p.m. Mountain Time. And right now I've got to go out and mow the lawn. And I hate yard work, but it's got to be done. I can't stand a lousy looking lawn. And the only way that's going to happen is for me to go out and make it look better. So you guys take care. Have a great week. Appreciate if you like this, fantastic. Give it a thumbs up. If you want to subscribe to the channel, I'd appreciate that too, but only if you seriously want to, only if you mean it. Blah, 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 blah. Lives, we don't edit. That's how it is. I'm Bill, by the way, here at the Front Range in Northern Colorado, and you have a great week.